Howdy, brothers.
Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey and Water.
We are back once again with a super refreshing conversation with philanthropist, entrepreneur, and celebrity stylist Sarah Akiba.
Period. She has actually been kind of in our what's the word?
Network.
Yeah, like on our radar. I think community, yeah, for years. And we tried having her on like almost, I want to say like a year ago or something. And I don't know why it didn't happen, but we're finally sitting down with her. It is such a great connected conversation. Like you can just tell on both ends. Like we're both like just like vibing, and those are my favorite. And even when I woke up this morning, we're trying not to do film episodes on Mondays because it's just like the first day of the week, and we kind of just want to like set it up versus actually like being thrown into filming.
Yeah.
But I woke up, I knew we were recording with her, and I genuinely was like looking forward to it. Like I knew it was just going to be such a good conversation, and she's so inspiring. She's just a boss ass bitch, but very transparent and honest with her journey, which I can always appreciate.
Yeah. It was very much a whiskey and water on brand conversation.
Yeah, so good. I just love these conversations so much, and I hope you guys too. Do too.
That works.
But before we get into it, of course, we have our segments for you guys, our high and low and deep dive. So let's get into it. I mean, we recorded Fridays.
Yeah, and
it's
this
only
is Monday.
2 days have passed.
Yeah, so
I kind of love how like fast our turnover has been, though.
Yeah,
like I'm happy that we're recording, and then that episode is going out a week later.
It's nice.
So you guys are totally like up to date as to what's like currently happening.
Yeah, except this will come out in
a week, but
regardless. Yeah, so not much has happened as far as like a high and low.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good low. Not a great high.
I already knew what your low was. Okay, so let's start with our lows, and then we'll end off on a high note.
Okay.
Me
first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. My low.
Let's get into our trauma.
Every time I say my low, I in my head it's like MYLO. Like it's one word. Yeah, it's like one word in my head. Milo. Anyway, Milo. It's that I drank on Friday night. Not anything out of the usual, you know, just my normal little fun Friday night. And I had actually recently said that I was not going to go out on Saturday nights because
so you're like overcompensating for Saturday night. You're like, Friday, I'm blacking out.
Yeah, apparently. Which because I felt like I was like wasting too much of my weekend. So I've already been a little bit like conscious of how much I've been drinking, and just like I'm just tired of like wasting my weekends and like not being productive and not having good Sundays and therefore not having great Mondays. And I feel like it's all such a cycle.
It is. I feel like I'm learning that a lot lately.
And I already am someone that struggles with insomnia and nightmares and anxiety. Like I wake up in the middle of the night to like panic attacks, and I'm like, it's just not normal. So whatever, I went out and I drank on Friday night. Saturday had one of the worst hangovers of my life, like Antigua.
Did you drink a lot Friday?
Not that I can remember. No, nothing out of the ordinary.
Did you eat?
I did. I ate Friday night? I was like really intentional, like about eating before. I like had waters throughout the night. You know, some days I think it just sometimes your body just rejects it, or you know, something that I had doesn't sit right with me. It could have been a number of things.
Yeah.
But you know, I just want to boil it down to me drinking too much. You know what I mean? And
do you remember the night?
I do.
Oh, okay. So you didn't black out.
I mean, at a certain point, things get fuzzy, but that's normal.
Yeah.
For a night of drinking, regardless. So Saturday, worst hangover of my life. There's my organs hurt because of how much I was like hurling.
Ugh.
And I was like, no amount of fun is worth what I'm feeling today and how much I have destroyed my body, which just doesn't align with my goals. It doesn't align with my fitness goals. It doesn't align with my mental health goals. It doesn't align with my work goals. And honestly, you know, like, of course, the day after a night of drinking, your anxiety is already a little bit higher, and you're already like
anxiety.
You already have the anxiety. But I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I have the power to like not do this and not put myself through this, and feel like I'm just, you know, holding myself back for no reason. I enjoy going out. I really do. I have a lot of fun, but
it fills your cup in a certain aspect, you know.
But I'm going to challenge myself to do that and just not drink.
Yeah.
and try to have just as good of a time. So for March, I am not going to drink anything. And
a sober month.
Yeah, sober month.
Fun. A dry month.
And I'm going to, depending on how it feels, continue that.
Love that.
So that was my low. Just being violently hungover and hating my life.
No losses, just lessons.
Yeah.
Maybe it happened the last weekend of the month so that for April you can...
Yeah.
Wait, March.
So
for March you can...
Start off on a good note.
Yeah, I love that for you. Tyler actually didn't drink majority of January after all the fucking shit hit the fan with me. And I just was like, I can't worry about literally anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him to stop drinking and he did, which I thought was nice. And he felt great.
Yeah.
He was like, I feel good. I feel energetic. I love not being hungover. It was just a nice experience for him, and I was happy for him. And I was hoping he would continue into this month, but he didn't. And it's hard too because it's easier for me when it's everyone knows, I know, it's not even an option.
Yeah,
it's so much harder when you have the temptation and you have friends who know you for drinking and having a good time. It's because you really do have to have so much more self-control.
And I enjoy drinking. I enjoy drinking. I enjoy being, tipsy. I enjoy
what's the word?
Inhibitions.
Yeah, inhibitions.
I don't know.
You're just
release your inhibitions.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see the appeal.
Yeah. But I think it's good to take a break every once in a while, and it's gonna be that break for me. And it doesn't mean I'm not gonna go out because I don't want to stop myself from the social aspect of it.
Honestly, drink as fucking Celsius and call it a night.
Right.
That's what I do. And if I have a Celsius to sip on, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I feel a little cracked out. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I kind of love that for you though.
Thanks.
It's no losses, just lessons.
And the last time I took a month-long break was it was your birthday. Remember? Because I got super fucked up and we had a day to go to the Fountain Blue.
Yeah.
We had a day to go to the Fountain Blue and I got there super fucking late because my dumbass was hungover and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm taking a month off of drinking. And I did.
It has to be something has to happen for you to be okay, this is enough.
Yeah.
It has to hit a certain point.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your high, if you have one?
Oh, I mean, I went to the beach yesterday, which was really nice and got a little swim in. And it was just really nice. Just enjoyed being in the sun and just spending some time there. Although it took me an hour to find parking.
Yeah. Where'd you park?
I ended up parking in the park.
Yeah. Okay. So that's
after driving around for a bit.
Oh yeah. No, that's always the first stop. Mm-hmm,
yeah.
If it's open. I also was at the beach yesterday.
We were so close to each other.
A 5-minute walk from each other. And I'm like, come here. She's like, no, you come here. I'm like, no. And then we just didn't see each other. I'm lazy. Okay, so my low, I mean, it's been 2 days. I don't really have a low. I did have a good cry yesterday, a grieving cry, which, I feel that's kind of been my lows a lot. And I wouldn't even call it a low, but I'm crying. So I guess I could chalk it up to a low, but it's a good cry, it's a healthy cry. And yeah, I was just listening to Rufus Du Sol and then I just,
love that.
It happens. Windows down.
It's cathartic.
Day.
Yeah.
Just my sunglasses are on. I'm just tears pouring down my face at the red light.
Why am I kind of jealous?
You're I need that.
I need that in my life.
No, it was nice. It was good. And then I went to the beach and I totally had the nicest time. It was 2 hours by myself. I was reading on my Kindle. I was fucking chilling, big chilling, good vibes. And I cried a little there too and it felt great.
Yeah.
I love crying outside. Main character energy. No. So yeah.
I too love crying outside.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's better than crying inside for sure.
For sure.
So that was a little bit of my
you.
low. And then my high is that Friday, I was I'm just really looking forward to this weekend and just having a week, a reset.
Yeah.
And I really did. It was.
I even loved that we didn't go on the boat on Sunday.
I'm so happy with that decision.
We're so excited to go on this boat this weekend.
We manifested a boat day and we got it. And then we both cancel.
Yeah. I mean, I canceled because I was
you had to.
Unwell. I was unwell, and I was just okay, I don't deserve to go on a boat.
Stop it. But no, I ended up canceling. So it was for Sunday, but so Saturday, Tyler and I went to the beach. It was so beautiful. Me and him haven't been to the beach in fucking 6 months. I want to say.
Wow.
It was gorgeous. We both felt we were on vacation. It was just nice. We were truly relaxing. I'm because we went to the beach with Bianca Monday, but I'm like, I didn't even feel that relaxed there. Like, I finally felt relaxed.
Yeah, I mean,
on the beach.
Obviously, this is good. I hate how this is gonna sound, but like, there's paparazzi on the fucking beach, and you can't relax.
Paparazzi shooting your asshole.
Yeah, I literally couldn't even lay on my stomach because with the angle that they were at, I was like, I don't want them to be photographing my butthole.
Yeah. So like that was really nice, and then I just had such a nice weekend cleaning my place. Like it was so nice for me to do my laundry, not rushing through it. And the weekends are so nice because no one's contacting you. Like, that is the best thing. Like, not having to answer 500 questions and just no one's contacting you. Like, I look at my phone and it's like maybe a text from you, maybe a text from my mom, and like that is so nice. So yeah, and then it came to Sunday and I was like, kind of had to make the decision if we were gonna do the yacht day or not. And I was like, you know what? As much as I want to, I also know I can get so much value out of just relaxing at home, being slow, you know, doing my own thing. Tyler went to golf. I went to the beach by myself. It's such a lovely day.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
Yeah.
I journaled.
And if we're going to go on the boat, it's just like, it's down in Miami. It's a mission.
As soon as Miami, I was like, no.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, like being like pickier with about how we're spending our free time is like really a move for me this year, because I reflected on my February goals and habits list. You know, I had time to look at March and like think about March intentions and things like that, and that is so much better for me than a yacht day. Like in that moment, you know, like that's how I honored myself better this weekend.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my high. Okay, let's get into our deep dive.
Yes, let's do it.
What is your deep dive?
My collaboration is with a swim company. It's called Always on Holiday. I'm doing an IG post and a story with the link to the product, and then content creation with 5 photos, I think in different looks. And the rate is $16.50.
Nice. And how did you get it?
I think I reached out because I saw Jalissa worked with them.
Nice.
And then just reached out, and then Taylor negotiated it for me.
Love that. So yeah, a little pro tip for you guys. I know we have a lot of people listening who are trying to get more into influencing. And I feel like these deep dives are really helpful because I feel like a lot of questions is like, well, where do you find the deals? We reach out to brands every single week. And also here's a pro tip.
If not every day.
Here's a pro tip. If you look at the brands that other influencers are working with, because the chances that they're getting paid are high. And, you know, it shows that that brand has budget for influencers. So that's your best bet versus reaching out to someone who you've never seen work with influencers and they just might not be allocating budget for us. So my deep dive is with a brand called Courant. And they make like charging devices, but they're really beautiful. Like it's Current. Is that how you say it?
Probably because of
charging. Yeah. So it's like it looks like just a beautiful like a decor piece, but it actually charges like your phone and your AirPod. And I reached out to them because I saw they were working with, I think like Helen Owen, maybe someone. I think it was someone big. So I had pitched myself to them and we agreed on one Instagram reel, and they accepted my rate in my media kit for $1,500 and did not even try to negotiate me. Love to see it. They asked what my rates would be for usage. And I think I said like 20% for every 3-month period, but the first 3 months is already wrapped into my rate of $1,500. So they were like, what would a year-long usage look like? And I quoted them $900, and they said, okay, let's see how this goes with the 3 months, and then we'll approach that later. So,
well, we love a brand who is doing things properly.
Yeah, and it's a dope product. Like, it's so beautiful. I'm so excited to use it and like set it up in my new home. So yeah, very excited about that. Anything else, brother?
Nope, I think that's about it.
I also got flooring for the house, so very exciting about that. Very excited. Whatever.
I can't wait to see the house and how it looks.
Yeah, we get the keys this weekend. Can't wait. All right, let's get into it. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please make sure to share it with a friend. That is how you could help us out the most. We love doing the podcast. It brings us so much joy and fulfillment, but we do need help growing. So if you guys could help us out any way you can, if it's a like, if it's a comment, if it's a reshare, sharing with a friend, it would mean the world to us.
Period.
So we'll get into our episode. Bye, guys.
All right, guys, we are on with Miss Sarah Akiba. Thank you so much for hopping on with us today. She is a local South Florida boss ass bitch.
Daddy.
And we are so excited to have you on. It's long overdue. But for our audience who isn't already familiarized with you, tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I feel so honored. I myself listen and watch to you guys, so I love it. So my name is Sarah. I'm a celebrity wardrobe stylist. I was born in Paris, France, and kind of bathed in the fashion world my whole entire life. And I'm also a philanthropist. I own a foundation called AWOM, that stands for Angel Watching Over Me, and also a creative studio called AWOM Lab.
Amazing.
So fun. I feel like there's so much going on in your sphere, and I'm really excited to get into all of it with you because I love having guests on who have like multiple projects going on at once, because one, I think it's so relatable for us, and two, I think it's the biggest thing that most entrepreneurs struggle with is trying to scale multiple projects at once. Mm-hmm. And we were like looking at your profile before, and it's like everything that you do are things that usually people do like as their full-time career profession. You know, like celebrity stylists, like they're all
that's
in
it.
Being a celebrity stylist. That's all they do. They've dedicated their life to it. Or like, you know, the founder of a foundation or the founder of this creative agency. It's like, that's what they do. But it's like, you do all of these fucking things and kill it. So super excited about that. So let's start with where you started in your journey. Did you start as a stylist at first?
Yes, I started as a stylist. It's kind of crazy what you say because it's like also my biggest struggle. But when I don't do a million things, I'm like, oh my God, like it's not fulfilling enough. Right. So I guess it's letting out all my creative outlets at once. So I started as a wardrobe stylist, but I mean, started, right? So like fake it till you make it. Honestly, like that, it's really what it was. So I was interning when I was 17 with another wardrobe stylist. I had no idea that that was even a job. I always wanted to design, and it's very expensive to start a line, and I know like what it takes, and I was so young. So when I learned that, I was like, oh my God, you can use other people's clothes to like make people look good. Like that's so cool,
right.
You know? So once I learned that, I started picking it up, interning, you know, working on that a little bit. And then I mean, I was super young. I was doing it during college, but I always wanted to open my own business of some sort. So I also opened an online store to sell clothing in. So like always dabbling in just like different places that I could play and coming up with new ideas. And then when I was 21, I lost my dad. And right after that, it was kind of like just like a big hit. And I had to figure out, okay, I have to make money because like it's like when it rains, it pours. You know, I was very lucky growing up. I had two very loving parents. And like my mom lost the love of her entire life. And it was like they worked together and it just wasn't the same. It's almost like that energy was gone. And then she just had to figure out on her own. You know, we had a big house, we had a lot of cars. She has 4 kids she takes care of, you know? So it's like we all had to start helping out. So I had 3 jobs. I was interning, I was a waitress in 2 different restaurants, and I was trying to literally just help my family and finish college, you know?
Yeah.
And with that, I forgot to help myself. And that journey led me to AWOM Foundation, which really just happened organically of me just posting on social media, like hashtag angel watching over me, and like posting like my struggles and my angel and like what's getting me through this during my days, you know? And so many other people started writing back to me and saying, hey, this is my angel watching over me. This is this. And I'm like, and this was 2 years after my dad passed that journey started, right?
Okay.
And so like I'm now 23, and I was like, hey, like, do you want to meet for coffee? You know, like, you want to go to Starbucks and talk about it? Because I didn't get the help that I needed. I didn't fulfill myself.
Right.
And for me, fulfilling myself was helping other people. Like that's what helped me. Once I realized, okay, like let me grieve and talk to people who have been through it. So it just happened organically at like my local Starbucks, you know?
Wow.
And then from that, I mean, that story goes on forever, and AWOM has turned into this beautiful female empowerment. Now, you know, male empowerment, everybody empowerment, just angels watching over each other. nonprofit organization that's just a safe space. Like AWOM is, I always say, like, you know, people think of it as a company name, but like it's a home. Like AWOM is literally a home for so many people in so many different ways, and like a way to celebrate each other. And from that, I opened a creative agency that actually was supposed to be just a space where women can come work. So like a female co-working space, I guess that's what I call it. And it kind of just turned into this creative agency because it was only creatives. And I'm like, hey, I could hire you for this. Hey, I could hire you for this. Hey, I have friends who need this. Hey. And I'm like, okay, I'm not getting paid for all this, but I probably should, you know? And this space just turned into that, and people renting it out for photo shoots and this and that, because it was pretty, well, when it started, it wasn't aesthetically pleasing, but people thought it was, so that's cool. Yeah. And now it just is, like, it's this awesome space. I have now we have an in-house makeup artist, photographer, videographer, social media strategist, web designer, graphic designer, and we all work in there, you know, daily, and it's really, really incredible. So I wanted to take AWOM with me, so I created AWOM Lab.
Wow, so cool and so good,
so inspiring,
like, so inspiring, and like I just love that it was such a natural evolution. You know, like nothing was forced. You didn't wake up. Not that there's anything wrong with waking up one day and having an idea and going for it, but like the way that it evolved so organically, I think speaks volumes, because it's just like, it's almost like the angels are making it happen for you, you know, like it's all already laid, the foundation is already laid out for you. It's a path that you're following.
Yeah. It's like, it's already written in the stars.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you know, for me, it's always like, you know, people are like, how do you do it? Like, how'd you get through it? And I'm like, honestly, I used it. I used my struggle and I made it my superpower. I always tell my students that. I'm like, take your struggle, your biggest struggle, make that shit your superpower. Because if you don't, then you're just going to end up as one of those people that should have, could have, would have, right? But instead, I just took my, you know, really sour lemon and I made the most amazing lemonade, and I get to share it and pour it into everybody else, you know? And I think that that's where, you know, you could either be that person that feels bad for yourself and you just can't push through and you don't get the help you need, or you could be the person that said, okay, I went for it. It could have failed. I failed 1 million times. I'm failing every day, but I'm learning every day and I'm growing every day. Nobody's perfect. You know, on Instagram, we see this thing, but it's all a facade. What it took me to get through this, I mean, forget about it. Loss of friends, loss of people, losing more family members, time, nights that, you know, you're here crying like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I'm giving everyone else everything and I'm not giving myself anything. So it's like, it comes with a lot of baggage. But you just have to remember your foundation. Like, why did you start it? And what's still pushing you through today?
Yeah. And when you have that bigger why, like, that's, you know, like, especially in entrepreneurship, like, it's too hard to do it if you don't have that why. You know what I mean? Like, you will fail if you don't have that why that's like bigger than yourself, pushing you through the trenches.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like that's why I love that philanthropy is such a big part of your why and your mission, because once you kind of dedicate yourself to something bigger and, you know, you realize like the impact you can have, it's just like, it's almost like something bigger is pushing you. It's like not even yourself waking you up every morning and inspiring you to get out of bed. It's like, it's the energy of like thousands. You know what I mean?
It's a force.
That's good. Yeah.
It's a force to be reckoned with. And I think it's an interesting approach, because I think a lot of people start their companies and their businesses with, you know, their driving force is, of course, making a living, making money, maybe building wealth. But when your driving force is like helping others and community and safe space, that I think pushes you so much further at such a faster speed, because it's like, I feel like it's, for a lot of people, that's maybe their second priority. It's like, let's build a business and then we'll look at, you know, giving back to the community.
10% to, you know, whatever foundation.
But when that's like your first priority, I feel like it's such a strong force, and everything else will just fall into place when it comes to like making the living and making
Yep.
money.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. You know, people always say that, oh, I'll do that when I'm like, when I get to like 50, when I'm successful, but it doesn't take money to help people. It takes conversation, you know? And that's what I always tell people. It's like, it's not about the money. Like AWOM, I never raised money. For the first 4.5 years of AWOM, I never got $1. Like we never raised money. I asked for, hey, do you have 100 books? Hey, do you have 100 pens? Hey, do you have 100 pieces of paper? Like that's what I need. I don't need money. I need you to give me things, you know? And like that is sometimes just more productive. Of course, now like we're just at a place where we don't have a choice. Like we have to raise money because we have so many students, so many support group members, so many events that we have to get through, you know, because it's gotten to that point. But it's almost more beautiful at that moment when you're just hustling through, and it just means more, you know, it means more. So you don't have to be rich to make a difference, you know? And I think that's important for people to know.
For sure. And even with the, you know, what you said about it being conversation, it also could just be kindness, you know what I mean? And I remember seeing a quote, and it was like, it was from someone who was experiencing homelessness, and they had mentioned like, the worst part about being homeless and, you know, like begging for money and stuff is that like people don't even look at you in the eyes anymore because like they're ashamed and they don't even want to make that eye contact with you. Wow. And it's because, you know, they feel bad because they can't give you the money, but it's like you lose that human connection.
Wow.
You know, and that's, it's something that resonated with me. And, you know, even if I don't have cash to give someone that's, you know, on the side of the street, I mean, at the very least, I try to tell them to have a great day and that I see them. You know what I mean?
That's really beautiful. That's good.
How, I'm curious to know because you're so passionate about your work and your passion and your why kind of are intertwined, right? And that's a beautiful place to be. I'm curious to know what your like work-life boundaries look like, you know, especially when you're running these multiple projects. Do you feel like you have a good grip on that? Do you feel like they're kind of all meshed into one and you enjoy it that way? What's your take on that?
They're all pretty much meshed into one. Honestly, even my personal life is meshed into my work, which that's where I need, like, my biggest boundaries have to be set now is like, I don't want to mix my friendships with my work. And because I was just like, oh, come, like you can work in this, you can work, like when my friends are like, you don't have a job or I don't have this, or how are you so I'm like, just come, like we'll figure it out, you know?
Right.
But that's where it's like, it can get a little tricky, you know? And I guess my boundaries, are you saying between the companies or boundaries like my self boundaries?
I mean, I think both, you know, just boundaries in general.
Yeah. So like between work, like I have my days. So like Mondays are AWOM Lab days. It's where like I take care of everything for AWOM Lab, have all my calls for AWOM Lab, and then I give it off to my team like, hey, had those calls, we got to plan this, this, and this, figure it out, you know? Perfect.
Gotcha.
So they're all together. Then, you know, styling wise, that's such a different animal because literally today I could be called for a 3-set production starting tomorrow. So like I have to drop everything and go. And I can't say no because you're a freelancer. So you don't know when you'll get that next job. You got to go, you got to do it, and you got to figure it out, you know? So then, you know, I hire my assistants, everything to make that happen. So there are zero boundaries there. It's like either you say yes to the project or you don't do it. And then for the foundation, that was always a tough one. And it took me a long time to learn because I didn't have boundaries. I just wanted to help so many people. You know, my girls at the schools, they have so much going on at home, just horrible situations to the point that I brought, you know, I'll remember this family in specific, 2 girls home. And I mean, I took care of them, but legally I was not allowed to do that. But their situation was just so bad that I really didn't give a shit, you know? So I would do their laundry. I'd take them to school, everything until the school found out. And I was like running girls club there. So I couldn't, you know, and they're like, look, I understand your intentions, but you can get in a lot of, like, if that mom decides to wake up and sue you, like, you're going to jail. Like, it's not even a, you know, a question. And I'm like, damn, so what, you leave these girls on the streets, you know, like what, like,
yeah, like what's the alternative?
So like what do you do, you know? But at the same time, these girls have to be willing to learn to do things better. And that's where you have to set your boundaries. You have to be like, okay, there's only so much you can do, and you can't change the system. You can try and make it better, which is so much more work within itself. But the best thing that I learned is that you can try to make a change within them. So that's my priority. Not taking them home, but make a change within them. If they decide to fail, that's on them, because they have the tools and the people around them to push them through. And like, I even put them in summer camp, things like that, and they still failed. They still decided to go another route. So that's on you. At that point, that is on you. You saw the difference. You saw what's good. You saw where you can be. You saw the people that you can have around you. The rest is on you.
Yeah.
You know?
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So the boundaries there have been set in the sense that, like, I also can't do it all. You know, I can't do it all. And this year I'm turning 30, May 6th. So it's very exciting. I'm going to 30. And yeah, and I just made a decision, like, I can't do everything, because that's where, like, I've lost myself in the past couple of years. It's like, what about Sarah? You know, what about you? What about your time? Like, you've given 6 beautiful years to other people. And I can tell you wholeheartedly, I've given my full self to a lot of people in 6 years. And now, you know, you're that person that they call, like, if they need something, or if they, but I can't be that. I can't be that and then also have a life. You know, I do want, you know, I want a husband, I want kids, like, I want all that. And you have to make room for it. And even like personal relationship wise, you have to find someone who's willing to understand that. And it's not easy. It's not an easy life to say, hey, I have to go style, and then I have to go help all these people, and then I have to, it's like, oh, okay, so like, when do you have time? You know, like, when do you have time to start your life? And that's what I struggle with now in my relationship, because although they can understand, and of course you can do it all, you're missing the moments for yourself. And that's where I am now. It's like, look up, you know, look up, because you're going to either miss that train, and that's okay if you want to miss that train and just be, you know, a philanthropist, this person, like a celebrity stylist. Or you can, you know, decide to slow down a little bit and open your eyes, like, to what you really, really want, and like set those boundaries, you know, and say, hey, you know, maybe I'll take one gig so that I could do that. And then, you know, it's really hard. Like, you can say it, but it's so fucking hard. Cause I'm like, I'm a horse. Like, I'm going all day long, and like, that's my rush every day. But then, you know, you have a slow month and you sit back and you're like, oh my God, what's happening? Like, I don't even know where the time went. Like, damn, I do want a relationship. Oh my God, I'm lonely, you know? And then work picks back up. I'm like, oh, what the hell was I talking about? I don't give a shit about anything or anyone, you know?
I've literally never related more, honestly.
Yeah, so there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a wild ride. But now I do want it. I want to make the conscious decision of, like, you know, like, I do want those things. So let me pull back and see, like, what works, what doesn't work. And
yeah, it's so important. We talk about this a lot on the show. It's so, so vitally important to be saying no to things, you know, and because if you don't, it's like you don't have room to say yes to other things. Like, if you're constantly saying yes, you know, you have to like take a second and do like almost of a self audit. Like, I'm really into these like self audits lately, because it's like just being like extremely intentional about where you're at, what you've come from, and like where you're looking to go. And we get so busy and so wrapped up in our to-do lists and constantly like just trying to put out fires that, like, you know, a month will go by before you've sat down and have looked at the goals and habits that you've set for yourself that you wanted to accomplish, but the whole month passed and you were putting out fires the whole month. So I really love that. I think it's so important. And it's hard. Like you said, it's easier said than done, you know, it's easier to just talk about it, but to actually implement it is like a whole different story. I want to ask you a little bit, because you have so much going on at once, and for the agency, do you have a full-time team, or is it like,
so I have my executive assistant, Julieta, who's like a rock star. And then I have Caro at AWOM Lab, who's our lab manager. She's also our graphic designer. And then, so that's like my core team.
Okay.
It's just us three. And then for the foundation, I have a board who's awesome. And I have, the people at the schools that help me put everything together. And then for the support group, I have a support group director, Carolina, and she's amazing. And then we have Bradley to help. So those are more volunteer aspects. So I do have a team that I meet with weekly to make sure everything's running smoothly, but the rest of the stuff is outsourced when we need it.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So would you say that your main responsibilities are decision making at like where you're at now at that high level thinking, or are you still like very much in the work?
I'm very much in the work. Yeah, I do all the creative. So like everything from a mood board and bringing it to life. Yeah, that's all me. That's all me. I mean, the other girls just like do the little stuff, like running the errands that I need, like doing the back end Excel sheets. Because running a business also, you have to take into consideration, like it's a lot, like it's tax season, like, geez, like I have 3 of them, it's not like I just have one.
Yeah.
So you have to figure all that out. And a nonprofit is a whole different animal when it comes to, organization, and like you can't mess up,
Yeah, like what that looks like legally. I wouldn't even know where to fucking start.
Yeah. So like you really have to be, super intentional with all of that. So yeah, decision making for sure, but I'm involved in absolutely everything as of now.
I love that though.
Yeah.
I love that you're hands in on the creative stuff, because I think like especially if that's where you find your joy and your fulfillment, like you don't find your joy in decision making and like telling people what we should price things at. You find your joy in like making mood boards.
Totally. If I lost that, I would just be out of business.
Yeah.
Because it's like I thrive off that. That's where I get inspired.
So with that being said, and all these different projects, how do you do it? You know what I mean? Like, let's,
I love that.
You know what I mean?
Love
like
this question.
Yeah. What does your time management look like?
I know you mentioned that you do like AWOM on Mondays, which I think is really dope and something that we could even take a look at because we have the different projects, but kind of like from like a day-to-day perspective and, everything, I'm sure you get a million people texting you about a million different things. So it's kind of like that aspect. Like, how do you manage that?
I have no times in my day. Like it'll bleed through the night, so yeah, I'll share a story that happened this weekend. So my assistant, Julieta, who I absolutely adore, and I've been through a lot of people, right? She sat me down and she's like, right before this Ed Sheeran gig, and she sat me down and she's like, Sarah, like, starts bawling, crying. She goes, I haven't had a day off in like, I don't know how long. Like, these days go super long, and then we have weekends. Like, I don't even know what the sun looks like, like it's a lot. Like, I love you so much, but this isn't the life that I want, so this life isn't for everybody. And it's true. So when you say time management, I'm figuring that out this week. Like, that's on my to-do list today.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love it.
I swear, like, it's literally like on my to-do list today because I refuse to lose this girl. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to give you a schedule. You get through it. And if I text you later, say, hey, Sarah, sorry, I'm off, because I refuse to lose her. And she's so amazing and good. And like, it's really hard to find that. Someone
so hard.
We understand.
The hardest thing.
Like someone who like either, and it's cool, that if you have someone that wants to become their own thing. And of course that's the goal, right? But finding someone loyal and kind and who won't screw you over, that's a totally different story. You could work for someone and get inspired by them, but then to screw them over, like, it's very, we live in a petty world. Not everyone is kind, Yeah. And some people mistaken your kindness for, I forget the phrase.
Weakness.
There you go. And that's not the case. You know what I mean? So sometimes you have to learn to separate that too. But as far as time management, I'm still figuring that out. And I just do it. Like, it's literally whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
And I really, just for a second, I really appreciate your honesty and your transparency with that, because I feel like a lot of people would feel pressure to answer that and be like, oh, well, this is how I schedule out and time block my day. But like, this is the whole point of our fucking show and being transparent and no bullshit podcast. Like,
we're figuring it out.
Something can look so perfect and so put together, but I promise you guys, like, nobody has it all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
And I really do love that. And like the transparency is so important. And it's validating for us as, you know, people who also have multiple projects going on, because that's the exact answer we would have given. We ain't
figuring it out.
Ain't got no fucking clue. And I love what you said about like the good, like about having good work and like figuring out something to keep your employee, because a lot of the times, like, we're obviously so willing to like sacrifice our time and our boundaries to make something happen. But it's not fair of us to ask the same thing of our employees. And
that's right.
A huge thing that we've kind of implemented in our company culture is just like really strict boundaries, because we don't want anyone to feel burnt out in our company. And so we have a personal assistant who is also our project manager for Mood. And we tell her all the time, like, we're going to text you at like 7 or 8 p.m., but don't you fucking respond. Like, do not respond. Put the phone on do not disturb. Do not text us back on a weekend. Like, we don't want to hear from you. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to even muddy that line, because she's so important and good work is so important.
Yeah. And we also just like to piggyback off of that, like what you said, like her, you know, coming to you where she's like, hey, you know, she's setting a boundary in a way, right? She's coming to you, she's saying,
absolutely,
hey,
absolutely.
I can't thrive in this nature. And we actually had something similar with our assistant Taylor, where she came to us and she's like, hey, I'm still needing more money, basically, at the end of the day. And we were like, say less. And like, it's when you find someone good, like we doubled her hourly pay, because we were like, this is how much we appreciate you, and this is how much we see you. Like, we're willing to make personal monetary sacrifices if that means that you can be in a more comfortable position.
Absolutely.
I would love to know, how did you find her, just out of curiosity?
She was recommended through a friend. And honestly, in the beginning, I was like, oh, this girl is not for me. She's so slow.
Oh my God, tell us more.
Yeah, she was just.
Well, make sure she doesn't listen.
I was like, poor thing. She's literally getting thrown into gala week, which is insane.
Oh, God.
Forget about it. And I'm like, no, I don't see it happening. I'm tough also. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm like, oh, so nice. No, like it's work and it has to get done. And however it has to get done, like, just figure it out, you know, just like I did. And that's how I learned. I learned by just getting thrown into the water in the deep end and like
sink or swim, baby.
You know? Yeah. And like, and you can't always just be nice, you know? And I did that with her more than anyone though. Because in the beginning of others, I'm always like, oh, you know, like petting. I'm like, that's clearly not working. This is why people don't stay. Like, I'm going to show my true colors. I'm tough. But guess what? Once you're in with me, you're my family, and I take care of you no matter what. Whatever you need, figure it out, you know?
Yeah, that's good.
And, you know, in the beginning, I was like, I don't know, this is going to work out. And my friend who introduced me to her was like, I'm telling you, push through. Like, push through. Like, she's amazing. I'm like, all right, I'll try. I'll keep trying. I don't know when it kind of like turned. After gala, I was still kind of like, whatever, you know? And it kind of just made a big shift. Oh, yeah. When we had a lot of styling gigs and other stuff. And all of a sudden, she just started boom, 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 boom. Like, I would ask her, hey, did this get done? Because I would constantly have to remind her. She's like, yeah, that's already in. Yeah, that's in. That's done. That's done.
Best feeling.
Best feeling.
And I'm like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah, you're like, who's this?
I'm like, all right. And then it just, you know, it's kind of like you just get into this rhythm and this flow together. And then you realize what an amazing person she is, you know? And like, that for me is everything. Like, I'm going to spend so much time with you. I need to enjoy you.
Yeah.
You know? So
that's
not
so
only
important.
You need to be like my sidekick, but like you need to be a person that I enjoy being with. And she just started getting it. So like, a lot of times I give up on people in the beginning. I'm like, I need someone faster. I can't. Thank you so much. I got to move on. But the thing is, you have to give people time to acclimate to who you are and how you like things. And I've only learned that with her, you know?
I love that. And I think that it is so important, because we can't expect people to pick up on our nuances, our expectations. And like, you set a really clear expectation of the sort of person that you needed in that position. And I love that, because you're like, hey, I'm going to show my fucking true colors. you're gonna sink or swim. She rose to the occasion.
Yeah, it's like dating. I was actually telling Jess this the other day. I'm like, you would rather just them know that like the first date what they can expect.
Yeah,
like if you're a little bit of a crazy bitch, show them you're a little bit of a crazy
first
bitch. First date,
I'm absolutely unhinged.
Because why waste your time? You know, it's like it's so true. Show your true colors right in the beginning, so they don't think that you're something you're not. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
What?
Hopefully they call back.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I'm curious to know, did it take time for you to acclimate into this position of being a boss and having people under you? Because that's something like we struggle with a lot, especially me being like wanting to be nice and not wanting to offend anyone who works for me, not wanting to make them feel bad about themselves. Like I'm so scared to like make people feel bad. And I feel like I need advice for that.
It's, oh my God, my biggest struggle has been that. But the truth is like, I wouldn't be where I am if it weren't for myself and how I do things. So like, if you don't like that, that's on you. And this is new Sarah talking.
Okay.
Because I did have a partner at the lab at one point. It was a dear friend of mine. And it's just like, you can't just be nice all the time. And you know, she would constantly say, oh, you need to be careful how you say this. You need to be careful. And I'm like, yo, nobody was careful with me. Like what? Mm-hmm. No, like I can't. These things have to get done. So like, I used to be the person, because I heard that so much, to be like petting everyone before saying what I really need to say. And I'm like, yo, you know what? That's not working.
Yeah.
They're going to leave regardless if they want to leave, you know? So like, I'm just going to, like we just talked about, just be who I am, show my true colors, and like, but know that I'm a great person. I'm a good person, and I'm here for you, but like work needs to get done.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't also be perfect, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm sure you'll talk to people who have worked for me and they're like, no, it was too tough, or it was this, or, you know, sometimes she'd say this, and I'd be like, you know what, but what about all the shit that you said and that you did wrong and that you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, it's so easy to like pick on the boss, but it's like, you gotta
where's the accountability?
That's right. You gotta also look at yourself. So it's, you know, that having employees is very hard, because I also hate being like, oh, she works under me, or no, like we're all the same. I don't work without you. So we're partners in this game, you know? But you also fucking work to be where you are, to be that boss ass bitch. You work to be it. Was not given to you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You did your due diligence to be where you're at. But again, this is very new Sarah. Like this is like 1 month Sarah.
Okay.
You know, I wasn't like, I wouldn't, because my very dear and successful friend told me, you know what, you don't own who you are. You don't own who you are. Like all this stuff that you're putting together, all these things that you're planning, the name that you have, you built that, not the new people that are coming to work under you, you know? And, you know, that's why they want to work for you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it can't always be rainbows and butterflies. No, there's a lot of struggle and hard work. So it's almost like you just gotta either have someone who's willing to roll with the punches. Of course, not like, you know, I know that like there were no boundaries with me and my assistant, that I'm like, hey, I need this done, and it's 10:30 at night and she would do it. And that's not okay. You know, like you have to, at some point, like there's a line. But I also know that it is what I need. So I'm gonna have to find someone else that can do that stuff.
Right.
It's what I need. I get like styling gigs, things like that. Like there are no hours.
Yeah.
So, you know,
not to mention, you're also working in different time zones, you know, like 10:30 our time is 7:30 LA time.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And different industries where like, you know, you're not as a stylist, you're not the boss in that position. Like you're a contractor and you're working, and there's deadlines that you have to meet. Like you can't be like, oh, the deadline is pushed back 5 hours. They're like, no, this is the deadline. So either make it happen or don't. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, there's a time and place for everything. And that's the time and place to fucking hustle and get that shit done.
Yeah, exactly. And someone has to understand that without taking those things personally.
Yeah, and especially like depending on the industry you're in, it's like that is the nature of that industry. You know what I mean? That's like if you don't want to be in it, don't get into it, because that's what it is, and it's not changing.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, your answer was so good about just like, oh, it's so true. It's like you have done the due diligence to be founders of an agency, and like it's okay to own that and not, I feel that that resonates with me so much because we really do try to be so, level, and we are like in our communication, in our relationship. I don't like saying people work under us, but when it comes to decision making and like, holding people accountable, it's like that's when you have to step up into that role and be like, okay, listen, now I have to be a boss. You know what I mean? Like now I have to tell you like what went wrong and make sure it doesn't happen next time.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that this is something that we have realized, and it's just that the people who work with you and alongside of you need to understand your intentions, because yes, you do have to put on like, the big girl panties sometimes, but, and you have to be stern and you have to be assertive, but they have to understand where it's coming from and like the place that it's coming from. And that's just trying to make them better at the end of the day.
And
like
trying to make shit happen.
Yeah. And like knowing that they're capable of better. It's like you're not giving me 100%, and that's what I need.
For sure. That's good. Yeah.
I love that.
True. I want to know a little bit more about your journey and like learning these business principles. Like, I know I'm not saying that you're an expert in business or you have a master's degree, but it is, like you said, one of those things where you throw yourself into the deep end and you figure it out. And there's a lot, especially with the foundation and, having the agency. What was your way of like learning these business aspects when it comes to like legality or things like that,
or
like business
project
school
management
principles?
Honestly, failing was my best teacher, because that's how I learned. It's just like, okay, you're starting something, then you read a couple things, then you have a lawyer and they can explain a couple things to you, or you have some friends that own some businesses and you ask them a couple questions. But really, for me, it was just going with the flow and seeing, how it worked along the way. So it was really just learning on the way. There was no secret for me.
I think that's what stops so many people from starting a business
Yeah.
is that they think it's like this big scary monster where it's like there's so much unknown and there's so much to learn.
Right.
It gives them like analysis paralysis where they just don't even take that first step.
Correct.
Yeah, because like there's so many like just options out there that it's hard to decide what path to go down. And I feel like so many people think that it's just going to kind of like be written out for them. And in a lot of ways it is. Like there's so many courses that are telling you exactly. I mean, even if you look up, like we've gotten ads for like how to start a creative agency, you know what I mean? And like that's crazy to us because it's like creative agencies are a pretty new thing in, the world of just like digital advertising, I guess. And because previously it was like a marketing agency and it was like you got clients and did XYZ, but this whole everything changes so frequently that it's like the only way to kind of navigate it is trial and error. There's just so much information out there that all you have to be able to do is test the waters, see what works for you and your company personally, and then move forward from there.
And pivot.
Yeah, which can be said for anyone trying to run their own business.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, you just have to be willing to like pivot, That's the biggest lesson, I think, is like it's never going to be a linear path. Like you're always going to be just dip in, ebbs and flows.
I'd love to talk a little bit more about your like celebrity styling. And of course, we peeped that you just styled Ed Sheeran this past weekend, which is absolutely insane. So fucking cool.
The biggest, I would say probably the biggest artist of my career for sure.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was really beautiful. He's such an amazing person, and it's been a wild ride, but it's I don't know, what can I tell you? I've been styling for 10 years now, 11 years now, and I used to work more with like in the urban world and then fell into this Latin industry. I would say now 3 years, maybe almost 4. And it's been amazing. It's been the most beautiful journey, like, and styling men, which is very new for me too.
Yeah.
Because I usually style women. Yeah. And I love it so much more. It's it's been just an amazing journey. And like the Latin culture, that everything is just something I relate so much to, because they treat you like family. And I'm very like that. I grew up like that. So, and with so much respect as a woman, it's crazy. It's just so, you know, a lot of the words they use is at tu orden, like at your service, like even to you, and they're the client, you know, and it's just like, wow,
I love that.
Beautiful. It's a really beautiful place to be in. And yeah, it's been just a wild ride. It's like, you know, you can pretend and say you're this celebrity stylist, but it's really like fake it till you make it. Like you just keep it going until your name gets recognized and Ed Sheeran calls, you know?
So sick.
That's so
what
crazy.
a dream. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
That's such a milestone.
That's
to
why
be
I
celebrated.
have these crazy bags under my eyes and like look like this, because I ended at 4 a.m. We did 5 videos in 3 days. And
how is that even like possible?
That's
like,
crazy.
And also I got hired the day before. It's not like I had time to prep, you know?
Wow.
So like he's a new client. I've never worked with him. For him, I've worked around him, you know, doing like the dancers and things like that when I went to Paris last. But it's crazy. And I also I'm actually not allowed to say, but never mind.
Just kidding.
Record scratch.
Yeah. But it's just, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Where do you find your inspiration for that? I mean, and also I'm curious where you find your creative inspiration just for like, you know, the agency and just everything in your creative field.
I mean, a lot of editorials, you know, I look up a lot of editorials. I watch, you know, every designer show that comes out every season so that I could stay in the, and honestly, people inspire me.
Yeah.
Like just watching people and like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like
I feel
seeing
you.
the collection, seeing people, seeing colors, seeing fabrics. Like I make things up in my head, you know? And that alone inspires me.
So cool.
People can be so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like my favorite thing to do is people watch. Like just like, and I love these like videos on TikTok that come up where like, you know, people will photograph random people in like New York City or LA. And it's just so cool how like humans interpret, you know, style and fashion and just different silhouettes and textures. Like I just think it's like the coolest thing.
Totally.
I'm really curious to know like what your process looks like as a stylist. Like, you know, I'm sure a lot of people kind of are like, oh,
where do you start?
You get to go like shop around and style someone. Like, what does that actually look like?
Well, you get, let's say it's for a music video or an editorial photo shoot, you get something called a treatment. And within that treatment, you get color palettes, you get their vision of what it looks like, of what the story is like. And then you kind of, as a stylist, this is what I do, make your own mood board and vision. And then, you know, shoot it to them and say, hey, this is the ideas that I have for this particular person. This is the vision I have from the story and from the song that I hear. And then once they approve that, you go ahead and just either, you know, go buy whatever it is or make it.
That sounds so fun.
Yeah, it does sound fun. I'm really curious.
It sounds a lot easier than it is, but it is fun. And I mean, if you love it the way that I love it, you know, of course it's fun.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would say that, I mean, I guess maybe someone could interpret that as being easy. People always want to think of like creative positions as like easy when in reality, like
takes so much bandwidth.
And everything is so subjective. Like you could be, you know, translating something into, you know, what you think is like, you know, incredible and amazing. And then you send it over and they're like, this is not what we were looking for, you know, God forbid. But I'm really curious, do you get to make a lot of executive decisions? Like, do people kind of say like, hey, like we trust you? Because I feel like a lot of the time people can have, you know, a little bit more like ego and be like, no, like that's not what we were looking for.
Oh yeah, for sure. I've had that happen several times. But what feels good is when you kind of have to do your job as a stylist to make them feel comfortable and confident and be like, hey, why don't you try this? It's almost like you word things, you know, why don't you try this? How do you feel in this? You know, what if we added this just to see how it looks? And you can take it off if you don't like it. And they end up liking it.
Rather than like strong arming them.
Correct. You have to take them out of their comfort zone. And I was taken out of my comfort zone with Ed. I think that was probably the hardest shoot for me.
Wow.
Because he is so simple that like he's like, why are you adding, like, I just want to wear a t-shirt. And I'm like,
Oh.
I'm like, Ed, but like, why don't we try this? You know, it would look really cool. He's like, because it's just not me. Like, I just want to wear a t-shirt and cargo pants. And I'm like, okay, like, fair enough.
Why
but
was
I
I
feel like I'm
brought
not
here?
doing my job. Like, I just pulled like $50,000 worth of clothing and you're putting a t-shirt on. Like, oh my God, you know? But it's really cool too, because you get to learn about someone who already knows who they are and they own it. Like, they don't have to have that extra, you know, shush to make themselves, you know, that he's just an artist. Like, he wants music. Like, he's sitting down and showing me all his new songs coming out and like drinking a glass of wine and saying like, yeah, like, how do you feel about this song? Like, what do you think about this? And like, that's what he cares about, not what I'm putting him in, you know? But
That's
you also
so cool.
learn to be, you know, work with the people that you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very much something that you almost have to just be like, you know, you have to be moldable because every artist is different.
Yes, exactly.
That's so cool. This has been so good. We do have 2 final questions that we like to ask every guest, but before we even get into that, I want to give you an opportunity because you are such like a visionary. I want you to tell us a little bit about like what's ahead for AWOM and yourself as, you know, an individual, as a creative.
Yeah.
What's ahead and what's like the dream?
Honestly, I have a word and it's just certainty. I want certainty this year. Just in like my personal life. So I think that I'm going to definitely feed my personal life a little bit more. I've worked really hard and I want to make sure it's still what I, you know, enjoy doing, because I'm moving at 100 miles a minute. So definitely like taking a step back and being like, okay, what's working? For AWOM Foundation, I've actually made a very big decision and I am giving the roles off to others to do the programs, because like I said, I've given so much of myself for 6 years. And that email, writing that to the school that I've been with, was probably the hardest, but I made that decision about a month ago. And I was just like, I told the principal, I was like, I need to feed myself. I love you guys. This is so hard not to show up on Fridays, but like my career is picking up, you know, my dream career is picking up and I have no time and I can't be the best version of myself for the girls. So I'm giving this platform now to others and like, you know, like this is what I built it for. You know, I can't always be that person. So like I need, you know, let other people shine and be angels to other people. You know, same in support group. So that's what I'm building right now for AWOM, is really building people who will be willing to really be there. Because you can't say you're going to be there and not show up. It's not okay. Like these people need you, you know? So I was there and I said I would be there and I would always be there no matter, I could be dying and I would show up. You know? So you have to be willing to be that person. And yeah, I mean, for AWOM, that's what that's looking like. For styling, I hope that, you know, I hope to God that these gigs just keep getting bigger and better and more beautiful and that I get to love it. I want to continue to love it, not just like keep going the way it's been. It's just like nonstop, you know? I mean, I'm on day, I don't even know what of not having a day off. Like today is my day off. Today I'm like choosing like after this call, I have 2 more and then like, that's it. I'm do not
rest, you know? Up.
Yeah. So just more of these amazing gigs, working with people that I truly love, you know, and for the lab, just keep creating. I love that, producing for these brands and these companies. I love putting those shoots together, and you know, the space is a beautiful place for others to shoot in, and like
the space is gorgeous, and we need to go shoot there.
Yeah, I would love to have you guys anytime. And you know, we're building out the back room right now, which is another 3,000 square feet. So I'm building different sets in there. Yeah,
oh my
it's pretty
God.
amazing.
It's gonna be killer.
Yeah. That'll be ready in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow.
So you know, the lab is growing. In that. We're steering away from social media management, but we're definitely curating content, and the space is just a great space to just shoot in.
So sick. Well,
we need to come by.
Congratulations on everything you've done so far. I've literally no doubt in my mind that you're going to be styling for the biggest celebrities in the world, and I'm so excited to watch it happen. We do have 2 final questions that we ask every guest. Feel free to keep it short or elaborate as much as you want. But the first one being, What is the best piece of advice that either you've ever received or that you've received lately? Could be either or.
I don't know why this is popping up for me, but real life is better.
Ooh.
So, not forgetting human connection, like we talked about. Like real life is better. Not forgetting family, not forgetting friends. Love what you do, but be there in real life. Don't just be there online.
Yeah. So powerful.
I love that.
So good.
Our next question is, what is your best biz pro tip? So this could be something that, like a mindset tip or like a time management tip, anything of that nature.
Or an app that you might have on your phone that you swear by.
Notes.
Yeah. No,
Notes
that's
is
good.
my favorite app. Honestly, Notes is my favorite app. And I literally just write everything that I have to do down, and then I prioritize it. Okay, this has to go first because it's more important. This has to go first because it's got to be done by 11. So notes and like checking those little circles off, and when it goes down is the best feeling in the whole world.
The best. Literally
so
serotonin every time.
Yep, there you go. So that's it. That's my best tip.
Amazing. Thank you so much. What an honor and joy this has been. Where can our audience follow you and your journey at?
You can find me on Instagram at Soakiba, SOAKIBA, and in my bio you can find everything else. So AWOM Lab, and anyone can talk to me, contact me whenever they want. I'm good at answering.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. This is really such a refreshing conversation, and I know our audience will love it. Guys, if you have loved this episode, please take a screenshot, tag us, tag Sarah, let her know that you loved listening to her story, and we will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.